And welcome. It's Business Incorporated live on Channels Television. Well, the TGIF trade in some markets that are open now, but right here in Lagos, Nigerian markets are closed. Here's what's coming up. In the financial services sector, Bank of Ghana suspends UBA Ghana's Forex license over regulatory breaches. And in East Africa, Kenyans borrow 76.8 billion Kenyan shillings in mobile loans. Plus, Zimbabwe secures a blueberry export deal with China. And it's great to have you join us. Let's head straight to the markets that are trading right now. We know oil. That started off week this morning with a big drop. We see the likes of Brent and WTI still pressured there, 0.46% down. WTI crude and definitely both contracts poised for a weekly loss this week. First time in about 3 weeks, and we're still seeing geopolitics there drive sentiment in the oil market. And we're looking forward to that OPEC Plus meeting that's coming up Sunday. Investors are bracing for that. Let's get a check on gold now. See gold prices today. They were higher today, and investors are watching out for the jobs data that's coming up in the U.S. So look at the metals market now. We see it's green. It's green on the screen, 3,500. And we see the U.S. gold futures there roaring past the 3,500 level, $3,608, a big 0.1% advance. And we see platinum, that's up 0.90%, its biggest mover, $1,389 per ounce. And we see palladium not left out and getting more comfortable on the $1,000 level per ounce. And we see spot silver sitting pretty, $41.43 per ounce there. It's quite a run from we've seen with silver from about $35, now trading at $41. I'm sure some investors didn't see that coming, but that's a new level broken right there for spot silver. All right, so other matters now. The Bank of Ghana suspended the foreign exchange trading license, that's of United Bank for Africa, Ghana, for 1 month, effective September 18th, 2025. In a statement, the central bank said the decision was taken in line with Section 11, Subsection 2 of the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, following what it described as multiple violations of the foreign exchange market regulations. According to the regulator, the breaches included unauthorized remittance activities conducted with 3 payment service providers, that's Halgis Financial Technologies Limited, Cellulant Limited, and Flutterwave Inc. on behalf of money transfer operators such as Top Connect, Send App, Tap Send, Remit Choice, and AfriX. And in East Africa now, we see from 2022 to 2025, about 5.5 million mobile loans were issued to Kenyans by licensed operators. The total value of these loans, that was about 76.8 billion Kenyan shillings, which is equivalent to about $594 million. The large number of Kenyans relying on digital credit is highlighted in a recent report by the Central Bank of Kenya. You see, Kenya's digital credit markets is proving to be profitable, as shown by the consistent interest of new entrants trying to join the industry. Part of a statement from the industry regulator showed that they moved to tighten their grip on the mobile loan sector, adding stringent measures for existing players and new entrants. However, new loan providers continue to be licensed, as 27 new digital providers were licensed recently. Meanwhile, we see the Central Bank of Kenya, they've announced the licensing of an additional 27 digital credit providers. In a statement from the CBK, the new approvals have increased the total number of licensed DCPs to 153. Since March 2022, the CBK has received more than 700 applications from firms seeking licenses to operate as digital lenders. And in Zimbabwe, in a historic boost for the country's horticulture sector, Zimbabwean blueberries have now been exported to China following the signing of a new bilateral protocol in Beijing. The agreement, hailed as a milestone by the Horticultural Development Council, opens the door for local growers to tap into one of the world's fastest growing blueberry markets. The chief executive officer of Linda Nielsen said the breakthrough offers an opportunity for the sector to expand production, attract investment, and meet China's strict quality and phytosanitary standards. Zimbabwe is projected to produce 12,000 tons of blueberries in 2025, representing a 50% increase from 8,000 tons in 2024, as growers ramp up operations to meet export demands. And in Ethiopia, the Ministry of Finance have announced new regulations that imposes compulsory VAT on businesses. The businesses offering services or products with 2 million annual revenue are now required to register for VAT taxes. The ministry explained the reason for a VAT tax regulation is to make VAT tax equitable out of a necessity to determine the registry of businesses within the mixed supply. If a sum of tax-free service or product and taxable provision of service or product is more than 2 million BER, then businesses are required to register for the VAT. All right, let's get a check on markets that we track now. See, right here in Africa, most of the markets are closed, but the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, that's still trading today, up about 0.89%. That's for South Africa. The EGX30, did close about 1.12% down. That's the last trading day yesterday. And yesterday, we also had the NGX All-Share Index. That traded in the green, closing at 0.60%. And still staying at the 138,000 level. That's for the NGX All-Share Index there. That's the close. And the Johannesburg Stock Exchange still holding on to 100,000, but we'll see it's green at intraday. And we'll see if that continues to the end of trade. And we'll see other markets that we track there. EGX30, that's closed. And we had a marginal increase there, about 2 basis points for the Thursday trade for the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Let's get a check on the Gulf part of the world that we track now. We see it's also all the markets there are closed. Saudi Arabia, Dubai, the UAE. The markets did close mixed yesterday for Dubai index 0.25%, and definitely we'll see the Muslim holidays there, and the markets are looking at that. Tadawul, that's closed about 1 basis point up, 0.39% down. So it's a mixed picture right there for the markets we track in the Middle Eastern region. Then for U.S. futures, we see the S&P 500, that ticked higher there by about 0.21%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 0.01% up, and we see the tech-heavy NASDAQ futures, that's up 0.44%. Investors looking out for that key non-farm payrolls report. Definitely, we're going to see some volatility there, depending on what the report says about job openings and how businesses in the U.S. are employing at this point. Let's get a check on Asia now. See, Asia Pacific markets traded higher today. You see it's 1.03% for the Nikkei, the Kospi 0.13%, Hang Seng Index a big 1.43% to close. U.S. President Donald Trump did sign an executive order there, and we're seeing that impacting the Asian markets. Well, before we go further, let's get a check on the close there for the U.S. markets, where correspondent Mary Bird.
The U.S. stock market ended on a high note on Thursday, as the Dow Jones was up at 0.8%. The S&P 500 was also up at 0.8%, having a record-setting day. And the heavy tech NASDAQ was up more than 1%, as many investors were awaiting the jobs reports, which indicated that private sector job growth was a bit lower than expected for the month of August. But many investors are hopeful that we could see a strong economy over the next few days and weeks ahead, as many were watching the autonomy of the Federal Reserve as the congressional hearings about the appointment with confirmation, as many are watching to see how the U.S. stock market will fare after this confirmation.
Thank you, Maria. Well, let's get a check on what's playing out in Europe now. We get a check with Lars Holter. Hello, Lars. Great to have you. How are the markets trading today in Europe?
Well, Adi, it's an interesting development looking back at the week here. The DAX dropped early and steep, and many felt that this might be the beginning of a downward move. But then the index in Frankfurt won back all of its losses, day by day, climbing slowly but steadily today for the third day in a row. But you know what? There are hardly any news from within Germany that are actually helping the DAX up. It's mostly strong upward moves in other markets in the US and in Asia that the DAX is just clinging according to it, goes so far as for people in Frankfurt just desperately waiting for that jobs report coming out of Washington. That I think you also just mentioned with jobs coming in weaker than expected, which of course might just pull open the door a little more towards rate cut by the Fed. So let's see over the next couple of hours what that is doing to markets, probably anywhere around the world. But, you know, Ladi, that's where we're at. Frankfurt looking elsewhere for guidance, but finding its way back into the trading zone. It's basically been in for a few weeks now.
The report is out. That's about 22,000, I believe, for the actual report. Previous was 79,000. Forecast was 75K. So definitely, I think we're seeing gold actually pumping at this time as investors are running to safety with this bad jobs report data. But I guess maybe Trump is going to get what he's been looking for, that rate cut in the U.S. But there's some new numbers out on, you know, new businesses being started in Germany. What can you tell us about that?
Well, you know, yeah, we got those numbers here, and they're not very good here. In Germany last year, 160,000 new businesses were started, and that's down from an average of far more, 168 usually for the last couple of years. It's way below the 200,000 that we saw founded every year, like around 15 years ago. And that's according to those latest numbers from an economic research institute. The numbers really weak, especially, Ladi, if you thought that Germany might innovate itself out of the ongoing economic weakness here. Now remember, that's what politicians and also economists had been hoping for, that we could come out of the ongoing economic crisis here by catching up to latest technologies and innovating to a point where German companies might be global players in tech once again. Of course, you know, we actually have a few of those, but just pales in comparison to the US and China and India and of course South Korea or many others. You know, new ideas of course come through new companies, startups disrupt otherwise established sectors, and the economists actually wrote in their treatment here, new ideas come from new companies in an overproportionate number. That is most notable, of course, with regards to digitalization, but also technology transfer and sustainability. And that's why it's so important to see more new companies being founded, being started, and that's not happening right now.
And why are the numbers so low? You know, what keeps people, you know, from starting, you know, more businesses over there?
Yeah, you know, it's really the same old reasons here why people are not getting busier here. We've heard those reasons many times before. It's too much bureaucracy, takes too long to start a business up. And of course, that is something that the government has to take note of, because this could really be changed relatively quickly if the political will is there and the administration would actually be willing to cut down on red tape. But there's other problems as well, those high energy prices. That's of course a problem specifically for energy-intensive businesses, including in tech. Now, at the same time, of course, while Germany has a lot of problems, it also provides a lot that those who end up starting a business actually do appreciate. Just read an example, the founders of a company called Black Forest Labs, that is a startup dealing with AI in photos and videos. So the kind of company that we want to see more of. They say they decided against moving to Silicon Valley and stay in Germany because of the easier access to free and open-minded research and the reliability of institutions here. That sounds a little bit like a dig against the US, of course. And, you know, Ladi, truth be told, as that country is becoming less attractive for some business starters, Germany tries to become a more attractive target and reverse that current ongoing downward trend.
All right, thank you so much, Lars Horta, for the details that was playing out in Europe, and I guess I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you, Ladi.
All right, so yeah, we have that news out of the U.S., the August U.S. non-farm payrolls report. That's been released, showing 22,000 jobs. That was what was added in August. Unemployment rate rose to 4.3% from 4.2%. Definitely, you know, markets are going to be reacting to that. And yeah, I guess that, you know, raises the case now for a rate cut this September. I guess the data is aligning with what President Donald Trump actually wants right there in the U.S. All right, Nigeria's financial watchdog, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, that's the NFIU, they recently had a two-day workshop in Abuja focused on virtual asset service providers, the platforms and companies that facilitate crypto exchanges, wallets, and other digital asset services. Let's talk to a stakeholder that was present right there. We have Segun Koshemani, is the Chief Executive Bitcoin Manager at Bought Me Cash. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ladi. #1 ace broadcaster who puts us here on the platform. Big shout out to Channels TV. Thank you so much for always giving us.
Thank you so much. That's a nice way to give me a TGIF today. But looking at this two-day workshop now, what do you think prompted the NFIU to convene this VASP workshop, and what gaps in regulation or compliance were they hoping to address?
Just like their name imply, Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. The adoption of virtual assets in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized, and the NFIU, has the mandate to basically clean up this space. We went there to learn so much. There are so many things that need to be done in this space. Risk assessment, protect the space, investors, all types of anti-money laundering measures, things that usually can hurt businesses that VASP may not have considered or are considering, but might need to update. Were the things that we went to learn in the special workshop that NFIU organized. It was an eye-opener. For me, I think Nigeria is ready for Bitcoin and virtual asset adoption at large. And NFIU just really wanted to understand how we run our businesses, enlighten us more on how we report certain issues, who to report, when to report, basically to help fine-tune the wonderful intelligence work that you're already doing. I want to believe that it's a complementary work with what the SEC has begun. And it was a collaborative effort between the NFIU, SEC, Center for Democracy, and MacArthur Foundation. I really enjoyed myself. I think more of such things should be organized. If you want to clean up a space like Nigeria, you want Nigeria to really thrive, you really want these numbers that they say about our Bitcoin adoption and virtual asset adoption to really be impactful in terms of job creation, human capacity development. Like, we are advocating for licenses for virtual asset service players, so that the books can be even more transparent, so that we can know who is sending, who is receiving what, so that there can be transparency in this space. I think that's basically what the NFIU has been working on diligently, and the virtual assets service providers, founders, developers, and compliance officers were invited. And yeah, it was really, really something to double thumbs up for.
Yeah, and talking about compliance and risk, what would you say were the main themes highlighted by the NFIU and some of the international partners that were present during those sessions?
Yeah, like I said, MacArthur Foundation pretty much were the international sponsor of this event, from what I heard, and some international should I say, virtual assets companies that now have local companies. Yeah, a lot of lessons learned. We learned about preventive measures for all of these things that can cause stain to one's name or one's business operation. There was a particular story that Mrs. Ahmed, the head of the anti-money laundering division of SEC, shared with us. And it basically explains that when you don't put the right compliance processes in place, it cannot just hurt your business. It hurts people. It hurts the nation at large. So we learned about reporting rights. We learned about anti-money laundering measures. We even learned as much as identifying who are politically exposed persons. Nigeria is very ready. You know, it's the stakeholders in Blockchain Association of Nigeria was also heavily represented. Shout out to our president, Obina Iwuno. It was a situation whereby we went with open arms and our ears and eyes were open. If you really want to play at the highest level, if you want the licenses, if you need to align by the SEC frameworks and guidelines, you know. Also, a big ups to Dr. Timi Agama, the Director General of the SEC, and his entire team, who have laid this foundation work for us, right? A few things here and there that can be touched upon, but you can now see that stakeholders are coming to talk to us. The CBAN, like I rightly mentioned, through some of these opportunities, I've also went to been to the Senate to also go and, you know, tender our issues open. Look, we can bring lots of good fortunes to this country. Now, I have mentioned not just developing skills and human capacity, but true financial sovereignty, true revenue generation. The president said the country has met its target for this year, but our targets have not been calculated. I want to believe that this space has billions and billions and trillions of dollars to support Nigerian economy at large, and not just we young people. The banks have to marry with us, the EFCC, and you know, we learned a lot about transparency. You cannot do successful transactions in the virtual asset space without transparency, because it is built on the transparency bedrock in the first place. Bitcoin, which birthed blockchain at large, you know, is the most transparent payment network, monetary assets ever created. So if you really want to see the books, right, you know, if you want a glass box of monetary operation, then our sector is the next sector to look out for. I believe that this sector is going to cleanse anything that have to do with scam, money laundering, and with your likes, who is always putting us on the platform, the likes of Channels Television, the work NFI is doing, the work SEC is doing, the work CBAN stakeholders in Blockchain Association of Nigeria is doing, and the work we are doing at the Nigeria Bitcoin organization will only complement the work of the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is our turn. It is the turn of Nigerians to actually write our name in the good books of history. We have come forth to show that we have the capacity, we have the technology, and we are ready to marry with international and local partners. Right. And we just thank you so much to the NFI for making it possible for us.
Yeah, and you know, talking about you know, virtual asset providers, you know, local cryptocurrency exchanges here in Nigeria, do you think, you know, Nigerians are demanding the services more now of local cryptocurrency exchanges, you know, compared to the international exchanges?
It's about trust, right? Look at the likes of Flutterwave, Paystack. We never knew we needed them. We never knew we needed money points. You see what we have there? It has now become a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem that have birthed, you know, lots of good tidings for the country. The same thing as Afrobeat, because that's my alma mater, media, broadcasting, and entertainment. Look at the goodness that is coming out of the fact that, you know, we are consuming local music content. So that is basically what is already happening now. Our local players here are the ones that are the engine room for the international companies. As a matter of fact, we have some of the best Bitcoin core developers from Nigeria and Africa at large. Even in Nigeria here, we have people who represent international companies. Mention all of them. And Nigerians are operating at their highest level. And our market is so deep that once they get our market share, it is usually easy for them to raise funds. So why not localize the market? Why not concentrate on building the capacity of our own markets? We have the technology here, technology to find lost crypto, technology to trace, monitor transactions, technology to ensure on-ramp and off-ramp. Even the liquidity is here right there in the banks. So we can really see that the nation, the entire Nigerian nation needs this. Bitcoin is the best performing asset on earth in the last 10 years. So we all need Bitcoin, even Nigeria as a nation. needs it. So I believe that it is the time. Young people are yearning for this, and it's only right for us to build this market. And thank you for the government that is trying to bring all the stakeholders together to help us fulfill this reality that is already before us.
Fantastic. Well, we'll keep tracking, see the progress here and how Nigeria leads Africa when it comes to digital assets. Thank you so much. Segun Koshemani is the Chief Executive Bitcoin Manager at Bought Me Cash. Thank you for coming on today. All right, let's get a quick check now. Some of the headlines in the markets. Now, see, Mara Holdings reported that the Bitcoin holdings climbed to about 52,477 Bitcoins as of August 31st after the crypto mining company produced 705 Bitcoins during the month. We also see Gata, a decentralized platform providing infrastructure for inference and training of large AI models and globally distributed user-owned computing. They're enabling individuals to contribute to computations. In South Korea, they've ordered some exchanges there to halt crypto lending services there. We see the financial watchdog right there in South Korea saying no more lending to most of these users there with cryptocurrencies. They're trying to halt, how some of those yields are being used in the crypto industry in South Korea. So those are what's playing out right there in the crypto market, and most of the markets that are open and trading today. We'll be back again on Monday. That's for the local stock market right here in Lagos, Nigeria. We'll see if the bulls can appear again. Thanks for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.